Good evening, everyone. It's the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast, brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, sponsored by Willow Seasonings and Blends. I am your host, Keith Brugman. Just to the side of me tonight, Willow Seasonings and Blends getting the video plug for anybody tuning in on the video side of things. Love it, Albert. Why don't we start with Albert then? I was going to say to the side of me, but Albert stole the show. Sorry, it's kind of like around the horn. We'll go to him first. Albert, welcome to the show. How you doing, sir? Might be on mute, by the way.
Yeah, the reason I will put myself on mute is because might be coughing, and so I put me on mute. I got a little bit under the weather today, but I'm here, and we're gonna have some fun, I hope.
Yeah, let's have some fun. More fun than the Broncos had on Sunday. Albert, thank you so much for coming. As soon as he came on, hacking up a lung, putting himself on mute, and I'm like, Albert, are you sure you can do the show? He's like, man, I'm here for our fans. I'm going, man. Don't hold me back. Put me in the game, coach. Albert, appreciate you being here, buddy. Jody. It's been a while since I've seen you on screen. Me and Albert get to do our pregame show. We were somewhat hyped up about this game, at least had a little bit of optimism. It's been, like I said, it's been a while since I've seen you, since last Tuesday. That optimism obviously faded for me and Albert, but I wanted to welcome you. I'm super optimistic about having you on the show and having a fantastic show, so welcome to the show, bud.
What's up? Couldn't be any worse than my sports weekends, though.
Oh, yeah. I forgot, because you're not selectively a Denver Broncos fan. You love your football, and you share it across a couple teams in college sports as well, which made it rough for you as well. For those of you who don't know, Jody, your teams are?
I'm a big Notre Dame fan, and lost on the last play. Not to make it even worse, we had 10 guys on the field the last two plays.
Yeah. That was rough.
Horrible.
Yep. Tough way to go down, bud. And then, follow the Buffs a little bit too, right?
A little bit, just because I'm here in Colorado, but
yeah,
they got destroyed. It was probably the best thing for Dion, the Broncos Sunday, because it took a lot of heat off of him.
There you go. I like the deflection aspect of that. Thank you, Coach Prime.
And then my Astros got swept by one of the worst teams in baseball. We are no longer in first place. We barely hanging on to the playoffs. Couldn't get any worse.
Yeah. Okay, bud, man. Like I said, been a long time since I've been in touch, man.
But we play the Bears and are 3.5-point favorite. So.
Hey! I love it. We'll get to all that too. We're going to be talking a little bit of what's in the future as we get through this show. I did want to give Albert and Jody a little bit of time to talk about that, epic, record-breaking. I forget exactly what I put as the description. I should look that up one more time. I could probably look it up, right about here, because this is the quotes that I took from Sean Payton. I think it's easy to just quote that and talk about it. Embarrassing, tough to watch, and not acceptable. That being said, guys, what is acceptable always is our fantastic fans. So I want to get up to our comments really quick and then get into you guys as well. Sup, fellas, is coming in from Jeremy Dressler. Thank you, Jeremy, for coming in. Appreciate you a ton. Our good friend, Michael Ron Keogh, coming in here and saying, good evening, Keith, Jody, and Albert. Who else we got? We got good old Michelle. Always in here, Michelle. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. Big hearts to you as well. So, saying evening, gents, to us as well. Patrick, it's been a long time since we've seen Patrick as well, so we'll get to him. I think I see it in here. I know I see it in here off to the side. Oh, there we go. Loading a little bit different on my end, so it's throwing me off. So he's saying, aloha, sirs. I will always support my team. Just a little dejected lately. Lately being 7 years. Man, it's just tough. Graham's coming in here and saying, thanks, Albert, for always sending over the link. Wow, man, I appreciate that. Michael's doing a little back-end support and getting Graham all linked in as well. So big love going out to Michael. And he's saying, You're welcome to Graham. And lastly, Michael's coming in saying Broncos had no heart against the Miami Dolphins. Perfect transition. Albert, well, I talked to you first in the pregame. I talked to you first to start off the show. Let's jump it over to Jody to start off. We'll save that voice for you. You can stay on mute if you need to, Albert. Jody, I know that you said it'll take 2 seconds for me to recap this game. Maybe you said more like 2 minutes, but take the mic, buddy. Talk a little bit about, if you want to, Michael Ronquillo started off with on our post game with the good. Marvin Mims returning that touchdown. You could talk a little bit of good before when we start off. You could start there, buddy, and then break it all down for us. How's that?
No, there wasn't very much good. Russ played decent. Had another 300-yard pass game. Had 2 touchdowns called back on what was bad PI penalties. One interception that was whatever. It was a tipped pass. Whatever. Marvin Mims again, explosive. Another kickoff return. That's really about it. The bad, giving up 70 points, 24 missed tackles, like 10 plus penalties again, and a lot of them false start or pre-snap penalties. We don't commit to the run. I know this game was getting away kind of quick, but it wasn't all the way away before we just ditched the run. I mean, we're a 64% run team or pass team, 36% throw. I mean, why are we trading away players like Alberto to keep like a Chris Manhurts, who has 0 catches this year? We've got nothing from the tight end play in 2 games. This team played with no heart. Scheme was bad. I mean, when you're seeing screenshots of 8-10 guys just on the ground and green grass for miles, it was all bad. And Payton needs to really do some soul searching. He came in here and called this the worst coaching staff of all time last year. And although I agree with that, we didn't see embarrassment like this ever. We haven't seen it we've seen embarrassment in a game and a half now, just straight trash, horrible. So he needs to really do some soul searching, get committed to the run. I mean, you set this team up to run, but yet you're throwing the ball all over the field. He's done nothing to do what Russ does best. I've seen 0 bootlegs, play action, none of that.
Didn't see it in this game. Didn't see a whole lot of what we needed, right? We wanted to commit to the run. We wanted to see Russ on the move. That would have helped us out a ton.
Right. That's why I'm on the fence with a rebuild with Sean Payton, because the rookies that we have on this team, we don't play. Marvin Mims, 17 snaps week 1, 16 week 2, 15 week 3. I mean, and he's your leading receiver yardage wise, and you're not playing him. This guy really should be, if not whatever you think of Jeudy coming off the injury, he should be your 1 or 2. He should be getting Cortland Sutton type snaps. So Sutton fumbling the ball 2 times. There's a shot, and I'm sure some of it is getting fined again, but Kareem Jackson just literally stood there as the running back's coming in the hole to score a touchdown. He doesn't even try to come up and hit the guy.
Yeah. Like Michael Ronquillo, going back to that comment, no defense had no heart, especially near the end of that game. Saw it all dissipate, man.
You know, there's guys on both sides that wear a C on their chest. Someone needs to step up and, be a captain of this team, a leader, and turn this around. I mean, you got winners on this team. Mike McGlinchey's won. Russell Wilson has been a winner all except for the last 2 years. McGlinchey, he came from San Francisco, winning organization. Ben Powers from the Ravens, they were winning. DJ Jones winning. Frank Clark winning in Kansas City. These are the guys that need to bring this winning culture back and get some stuff turned around immediately.
I agree, man. I agree. We're going to talk a lot about the future of the Broncos and what needs to happen. I did want to get to the, like I said, the kind of the breakdown of the game and what we thought about that. Anything more to add on that point, bud?
Not really. Just be thankful Miami didn't want to hang 100 on you because they very well could have, the way that they were playing.
Yeah, a lot of time left on the clock when they already had 70 on the board, man. And that's disappointing to say, man. Had opportunities if they really wanted to.
And I did hear one thing today. Well, nothing is stopping Russ from scoring 70 as well. That is true, but when you get 2 touchdowns called back for PI, you have receivers fumbling twice, your coach kicks a field goal inside the 10 when you're down 35-10. I mean, there's just a lot of boneheaded things that make no sense.
Mm.
If you know you have a defensive problem, commit to this run and get in a game like you played with the Raiders. And if you get 6 possessions, so be it. That's probably only 6 or 7 possessions the other team's going to have, and that doesn't add up to 70. So,
gonna agree, buddy. Gonna agree. I'm gonna hit the comments just really quick, and then jump over to Albert on this as well. Make sure I got everyone lined up here. I'm sorry, guys. So, first one I wanted to get to was well, Trevor is jumping in here. He was my co-host and said, "Hello, guys. Have a good show." He was my co-host on our post game, so appreciate that very much. Michael Ronquillo jumping in on YouTube saying Broncos comes from the first NFL team to giving up 5 passing TDs and 5 rushing TDs. Yeah, like I said, record-setting, epic record-setting performance, and not in a good way. That's just one of those records that we now get to hold. First team ever to have 5 touchdowns and 5 rushing TDs hung on them on the exact same game. Got to get to Greg Smith's, because Greg Smith says, new to the show, Keith, Denver Broncos for life. Appreciate you so much. We love our new subscribers. Obviously, someone has shared this out. You've come over. Appreciate whoever shared. And, hey, we're just some good Bronco fans trying to get through, well, an 0-3 start and a 20-70 loss. Lastly, not leastly, just kind of getting caught up, Roy is coming in here saying, good evening, Keith, Albert, Jody. Boy, tough to swallow. And it sure was, Albert. I know that it's tough to swallow for you right now with this cold coming on, but it was also tough to swallow on Sunday. Wrap up that loss and what you saw out there, and maybe a little bit of hope if you can give Broncos country, but I know it's going to be really tough off a 20-70 loss. So if you don't have it, I understand, buddy.
I have one highlight. One of the water boys was really good aiming the water. So that was a really good highlight. But here's the thing. If in a game like this, you already know that nothing has worked so far, why not experiment? Why not experiment? And how many safeties did we have on the field? 2 that were unproven.
Mm-hmm.
Why not put a third one in? JL Skinner. Last week we only dressed up of played 52 on the roster.
Yep.
Why not put him in? We drafted him for a reason. If it doesn't work out, this is a good game to see if it is going to work or not. So I don't get that.
Can I add to that just a little bit and ask
absolutely.
your opinion on this? Russell Wilson played to the final snap. Javonte Williams played to the final snap. There was opportunities there as well, to, if nothing else, possibly avoid injury to your starters. And also, as you said, maybe give others opportunities like, I don't know, Jaleel McLaughlin. Speak to that. What did you feel about, Russell and Javonte playing to the end?
Okay, so here's the thing. Put in Stidham for the last 2 snaps, and now have Stidham also have that feeling from, hey, I played the game, now I'm part of the misery as well. If you're on the sideline and you don't play, then you can say, oh, well, it wasn't me. But if you go in there, then now you have, even although it is maybe 2 snaps or 3 snaps, now it is, I was part of it. So I think that in a way that is a good thing.
Very good, man. Continue your recap. I just wanted your thoughts on that, man. So
why in a game like this, why not try? Nothing has worked so far. Why not try something completely different? You have some really miracle plays that you have never tried before. Why not try them in a game like this? What is the worst thing that can happen?
Mm-hmm.
You tried something, and this is something that I don't get. Yeah, after the fumble of Cortland Sutton, that I think that's where the game completely changed, and there was no way back from that moment. Um, if like I would have tried something completely out of character and tried to make something out of it, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, if I remember it correctly, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, 21-10, that was the score at that point. We were driving near halftime, and that was Cortland Sutton's first fumble and changed the trajectory of the game. Also, I think a big one was being able to stand up as a defense. One of the few stands we had as a defense, and getting a turnover on downs, and then eventually punting off of that when we had great field position to begin with. Just this team, it feels like, are in a place where when they meet some adversity, it's really tough to get past that. It was Jody that was talking about captains, Jody, and what we're really talking about is those players that can put this team on their back and carry. And it's tough to see the guys that are out there on this team that, are giving it their all to the very end of a 70-0 game. Now, I'll give you this. Like I said, Javante's out there, Russell Wilson's out there. They're in the lineup, and they are trying. But, just that mad running with your hair on fire. I'm going to give it my all. Honestly, the type of play that you'd probably see from Kareem Jackson right down the at the end, where he probably gets a personal foul penalty, but hey, at least he's usually hitting and going after it and not giving up. It was tough to go through this game and not see that, and it was just disappointing. It's disappointing to see a team that, Colin Cowherd even made mention of something like this. I felt the exact same way. Our high school football team may not have been the best, but at the same time, we never had 70 points put up on us. That's a different level of giving up at the very end, in my opinion, and that's what we saw on the field. I want to get caught up on some comments. I'll let you guys jump in as well on maybe some of your thoughts. But Kurt Valente's coming in here and saying, "What's up, boys? I will be very calm tonight. Have a lot to say tomorrow on my Broncos show. Check out Kurt Valente over on the K&K Sports Show. Our cousins in the sports podcasting industry, as I put out there last time we talked. K&K Sports Show covers all sports, coast to coast. So baseball, football, basketball, hockey, you name it. They're covering it, and they have some great stuff. Check out Kurt's show on Wednesdays over on the K&K Sports Show. But if anyone says Russell Wilson is our problem, they do not know football. I know you'll get an agreement on that one. I'll probably go to Jody on that in just a second. Seahawks 0-0. Thanks for the trade, donkeys, and trash, and Russell Wilson is the worst quarterback in NFL history. Well, we expect nothing less from a Seahawks fan. Appreciate you jumping in here, helping our everything that goes to analytics and the likes and the comments, and jumping in here and subscribing. We appreciate you a ton. Kenny's coming in here and saying, "Evening, fellas. Sorry I'm late, but Keith, I had to pick our boys at Lyndhurst on Jen and Kurt's all high school sports show. Check that one out as well. That's the other half of the K&K Sports Show, Kenny. And they have a good high school sports show. Caught it a little while ago. The Lyndhurst high school football team. I'm telling you, it's just like the epitome of what you want to see. You could tell it from the coach. You could tell it from the players. You could tell it the admiration of the players to the coach. So all of a sudden I became a Lyndhurst fan, even though they're in New York. So go Lyndhurst. Hope they're doing well. So going to go through here for really quick. Jody, this is almost like a Judge Jody type of moment here for me, but I want your thoughts, man. A lot of people, or not a lot of people, I think, believe me, the defense has taken the heat on that. We'll get to this in a second. But every once in a while you hear rumblings of Russell Wilson. I know you're a big supporter of Russell Wilson. Our friend Kurt Valente over on the K&K Sports Show, very big supporter of Russell Wilson. Hey, these are two minds, in my opinion, that I respect a ton. Why is Russell Wilson not the problem, even if he only put 13 points up offensively in this game?
I feel like he's not getting set up in the right way to succeed. We all knew Russell Wilson was not a Patrick Mahomes, John Elway, Dan Marino, whoever else you want to name type quarterback. He had specific skill sets and he needed specific things to, thrive. And he had those in Seattle and he did really well with them. A strong run game, a strong defense, but mainly a strong run game. We have not committed to the run. And that is one of the reasons I say he's not being set up for success. We don't commit to the run. We went out this offseason and spent big money on guys who were, by all accounts, run first type guys. Ben Powers, Mike McGlinchey on the O-line. We went and got Michael Burton,
the fullback,
who we don't play. Chris Manhurts. We traded away Albert O. Traded for Adam Troutman in the draft during draft weekend. We get zero production from tight ends. Our most explosive wide receiver is getting less and less snaps every week.
So despite sometimes everything that is happening on offense, Russell Wilson is still improving stats.
Yeah, if you expect Drew Brees was the perfect quarterback for a Sean Payton offense. He maneuvered in the pocket well. He was great. He was accurate. All stuff that Russ that wasn't his, his best skill, his forte, his best skills. If you watch Russ from 2-3 years ago to now in the pocket, it's night and day different. Russ has taken to coaching. Russ has done everything that's been asked of him. The only thing that I see from Russ, just as my last point, the only thing I see from Russ that's kind of bothersome is he looks like he's playing scared a little bit. He doesn't want to take the chance of, back in the day, throw it up, let Tyler Lockett or whoever go up and get it. He's not doing that. We'll take the safe check down every time over a 50-50 ball or something, taking the chance because he goes out and has this 2-3 interception game. People are going to, he's back to 22 Russ, whatever. And he needs to put this team on. That's the only way this is going to get better, in my opinion. Russ is going to have to put this team on his back and start doing things that he's done in the past. And like Albert said, that's throwing the ball deep. And Payton has got to start playing his young guys. You've got to get Mims on the field. 15 snaps last week. That ain't going to cut it.
I like it, man. What I was going to I apologize because I'm over here throwing my fingers up because I got ideas popping in my head. What I saw from Russ, even in this loss, in the pocket, was phenomenal. That is coaching that he's taken.
One sack this game.
And the big thing is he used to just frustrate me and just Russ in this flip out, bail out, of the pocket that he likes to do, kind of that reverse spin back out of the pocket. I saw none of that in this game. He was trying to maintain in the pocket. He was stepping up in the pocket. He was stepping through the pocket when he needed to. He was trying to keep his eyes down the field. It was the best I've seen Russ in that regard, and I don't know how long. I want to get to a few comments and back over to Albert.
See, I got one thing. You talking about him spinning out,
and
you hear people say, old Russ would have spun out from this, and he would have ran away from that. He's not. He's been coached not to do that. So
yes.
So the people that say old Russ would have got away from this, or That's not what he's been. That's been coached out of him.
Correct.
So you can't. The
Hold it
people that
against
say
him.
that are not, I don't think, understand fully what's being asked of him, because he could still do that if he wanted. You can see when he does highlight videos and he can do that. That's not what he's being coached to do.
And I'll say this: when he was in Seattle and he was doing that, and he's successful in Seattle, he still took sacks.
He did.
He still, and you have to take that. You have to take a few of those with the big plays that he also gets off of them, and that's tough to swallow sometimes when you're seeing that. This is Sis. She doesn't let me know. Not Sis, Ed Sis that we know. My sis. And that's why she's saying, I have the solution. You three fine men should take over the coaching for the Broncos. You have the finger on the pulse of the team. Appreciate it so much, sis. I love that a ton. My sis, not the sis. So,
But the sis is here.
but sis is here. Yeah, we might even get to him as well. So, Kurt Valente coming in saying starting Sunday, people will be playing for their Broncos careers. Good point. Kurt's still coming in here and saying still have 100% confidence in Sean Payton. Trevor's coming in here and saying, sorry that I didn't mention on Sunday, why is Russ in the game when you are down by 50? There's no need in getting Russ hurt. So just to kind of going back to what we said as well, Trevor's jumping back in here and saying, I believe players let Russell Wilson down on Sunday. For example, Cortland Sutton with his 2 drops. That second one was absolutely brutal. Getting to just a couple more, and I promise, Albert, I'm getting to you. He says, Kenny's coming in and says, I actually agree with Jody and Kurt. Russ didn't fumble the ball twice. Broncos fans may not want to hear this. Sean Payton may be the issue here. From day one, he blamed Hackett. A Hackett-led team didn't ever lose by 50 points. And then the sis is here. Gave those permissions over on Facebook, so I appreciate it, so I can see your fantastic Facebook profile. Those of you who haven't, look for that when you are jumping on our pod or on Facebook. That helps out a ton. Or go over to YouTube. I can always see your wonderful faces and profiles there as well. But he's saying, hey, man, Sis here, and good to see you, Sis. And last but not least, again, I think I said that in the last one. I agree with all of you on the Russ comments. Improvement worth from him, I guess, is the best way to put it. So, Albert, back over to you. Sorry, man.
Mm-hmm.
All our friends in the comments.
Your
thoughts?
Okay, so Jody gave us some stats this afternoon, and those were stats compared to the best quarterback of the league, the Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes. And I think that is what he has been considered, right? The best quarterback in the league.
Probably,
Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
These are the stats over 3 games. Russell, 791 passing yards. Mahomes, 803. Russell, 6 TDs. Mahomes, 7. 2 interceptions for both. Both have a 99.5 rating. Both have a 65.5 passing completion. And the yards per game, 264 versus 267. And Wilson is washed.
Yeah. Again.
Then in my opinion,
in some minds, right?
And then in my opinion, Patrick Mahomes is washed as well. Because if you compare that, they're equal. There's no difference there. And so, what everybody says of Russell Wilson, we have seen a huge improvement. Here's another thing. Our average scoring points on offensive side has gone up way higher. Last year, we couldn't even score 16 points average. And that was with Hackett.
Yeah.
Our defense was better. I totally agree. But that has nothing to do with Hackett. That was all Evero.
Yeah.
Nothing on Hackett. Hackett could not organize an offense. You can see it right now with the Jets.
Correct.
How are they doing? So
we'll find out in a couple of weeks exactly how they're doing.
But we already seen 3 games from the Jets, and
no, I'm just saying, like firsthand, we'll be able to say.
Yeah,
That's what I meant.
exactly. So everybody is blaming Russell. He's washed, and everyone thinks that, yeah, Peyton is not a great quarterback. He has turned it around. One thing for the good, the other one not so good. But it has turned around, and I think we will see better games, and I hope we will see better games.
Yeah, we need better games in front of us. This is my one criticism of Russell Wilson, of the offense, however you want to put it. They haven't been able to produce in the second half. Like I said, as Russell Wilson came and said right after the second game, they need to take the opportunities going in at halftime. They need to take those opportunities when they have the ball coming out of halftime, and that's some place that they continue to struggle. I got the quarter breakdown by Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson completion percentage in the first quarter, 82.3. Second quarter, 73.5. Third quarter, 55%. Fourth quarter, 54%. QBR rating goes from 155 to 116 to 32.3 to 83.4. The third quarter has just been brutal for this Denver Broncos offense. They haven't been able to get the momentum, and it'd be a big, big lift going in, coming out, either one, getting points on the board, and it's just been rough coming out of the third quarter. I'd like to see somebody, once again, going back. We got to put a team on our back. We got to get it done. I think Cortland Sutton was trying to be that guy in this game. Unfortunately, it was an epic failure. Fumbling the ball twice. Both those times, he's fighting. He's fighting for more. He's trying to be in this game, and the few opportunities that he got for it to backfire in that way. Like I said, this team has a hard time moving on from moments from that, and any team going up against a team like the Miami Dolphins, just will have a hard time overcoming failures like that. Doesn't matter who you are. Any Sunday, you start turning over the ball like that, it's just going to smell disaster. The blood's going to be in the water for the Dolphins.
I want to add on to your comp percentage stat. In the first half, we're running. We actually set the pass up with the run. We commit to the run. And then it's like when we come out of halftime, it's like we're going to throw the ball. We give up on the run. I mean, and I didn't look at last week's stats, but the week before, Russ was 6 for 8 in the first half. I finished with like 39 passes. That's ridiculous. He had all his passes in the second half when you're leading the football game going into the fourth quarter.
Attempts per quarter, first quarter 17, second quarter 34, third quarter 20, fourth quarter 33.
That's what I'm saying. 33 attempts in the fourth. That's what I mean. I'm saying that's
but
that's
20,
not balanced.
20 in the third. That's the second lowest after the first quarter at 17.
Yeah, because they were not on the field that much.
They've been getting the ball in the second to start the second half. That's their first series. Do with it what you want. You can make that a 30-play drive. You can make it a 2-play drive. What's that?
I'm just saying
3 and out.
Yeah, 3 and out. Yeah, exactly. That's the
For
problem.
this
You come
team-
out and you do 3 and out.
For this team to be successful and for Russ to be his most successful, you've got to commit to the run. And you almost have to flip what you're doing. Russ has never been successful when he's throwing 38, 39, 40 times. Never. It needs to be Russ 25, 28 max. And you have 3 running backs back there. You should lean on this offensive line. And you brought in a fullback. You brought in all these blocking tight ends. Use them.
So if I can make a question. So
Yeah.
when the team is prepping for, like I said, going to face the Dolphins, and now we are facing the Browns on Sunday.
The Bears.
Or the Bears. They have a game plan, correct?
Yep.
They probably have a game plan. This is what we're going to do in the first half, and this is what we're going to do in the second half. If that team, the offensive side of the team, sees we're going to pass, how do you think they will feel?
Yeah, they're going to play against that, right? If that's what they're always seeing, you're getting
So-
the tape on it. Yep.
So they have the game plan is, we're going to pass 60% of the time, and the rest is running. And this is a run-first team,
Yeah.
in everybody's opinion. How do you think where the motivation goes? There is none.
I'm going to throw this from Kenny back over to you, but Albert, it has to go up when you don't run the ball because your defense is giving up 70 points. This is on Payton, and fans will start seeing that soon. Your passing percentage has to go up if you're down by 30 points. You can't expect to get back into the game running the ball and chewing up the clock. It just takes too long. You got to have big plays. You got to score quick.
But at the halftime, they were behind 28 points. You can run.
Yeah.
You can, if the defense is showing up, which doesn't happen. If the defense is not showing up, there's nothing you can do, even on the offensive side, no matter what you do.
But the only thing you possibly can do is hopefully get into that all out, just throwing it all over the place, run up the scoreboard. Hopefully you end up on top. That's the only thing you have. That's the only thing you have in you if your defense is nothing.
That only works if your players are in it, and they were not.
Okay.
Because we have a three-headed monster. I call them the Hydra, because Javonte, Pirine, and McLaughlin. Those three, they should break records. What are they doing? They're breaking records in not playing. And that is the biggest problem. If you stay away from what your personality is as a team, what everybody thinks that his personality is, there's nothing. They've taken the personality away.
It's fair, man. It's fair. And I could add on to that, but I'm going to jump back over to Jody.
What
I
I don't agree with is before Sutton fumbles that ball, it's 28-10. You're driving, and you're throwing the ball. You're not running it. You never were really running it. You're in scoring. Let's say you go down, Sutton holds onto that ball. You're down there in scoring position. Now it's 28-17. You're down there again right before half, and you get the ball coming out of half. So commit to the run. You never committed to it. There's no. To me, help your defense. Keep their offense off the field.
Yeah.
I don't care if you run the ball for 10 minutes and you score 3 points. That's 10 minutes that they're not chewing up your defense.
The funny thing is when that fumble happened by Cortland Sutton, that passing offense was very effective. It was working at that time too, though. It's I guess what I'm saying is, in the moment, it's tough to think we should be running the ball, when you're seeing success to that point. Because, like, as you said, hey, we drove it down pretty deep before he ended up turning over that ball. We were doing pretty dang well, on that drive, and mainly throwing. But you're right.
I don't think it was going to matter, but the first
you're right.
touchdown that was called back, that's when you could tell on a 50-50 PI call, that's when it kind of was, and we couldn't overcome that. I mean, had to settle for a field goal. If you couldn't, that's
wind out of the sails.
Yep.
I just wanted to get Sis jumped back in here and said the halftime adjustments need work, and he says that's coaching, and absolutely right. That, as Jody pointed out, as Albert pointed out, coming out and still sticking to your identity, who you are, all the pieces that you put in place. If Chris Manhertz is your blocking tight end and you want to be running the ball, then get out there and do so. If Michael Burton is going to be out there leading as a fullback, then get him out here and lead him as a fullback. If McGlinchey is going to be that blocking tackle, if Powers is going to be that fantastic pulling guard that blows up the gap and opens up holes, commit to that. At least in the very end of the game, you can turn around and say, we stuck to our game plan. We did what we thought we were capable of. We executed our game plan. I was happy with the run game. I was happy the way that we produced. I was happy with the passing that we got off of the run. You can walk out of there with your head held high in some position, rather than, as Albert pointed out, you're never going to win in that situation where you're just trying to ring up points and throw the ball all over the place. You're not made for it. Like Jody said, we gave away the personnel if we wanted to be a passing team. If you really wanted to be a passing team, keep Albert O on your team and be a passing team. Don't keep Chris Manhertz,
I have something
points, guys.
Alfred Williams points this out on the radio when people say, like, to chirp him about the only way you score points is throwing the ball all over the field. And he points out, go back to 97 and 98 with John Elway. Go look at what John Elway did in Super Bowl 32. He was like 10 for 20 for like 115 yards and no touchdowns. And they scored 30 some points because they ran the football. But Elway was confident when he needed to get a first down, he could still run. When he needed to pass for one, he could still get him one. And they could do the same thing with Wilson.
Different time period, though.
Different time period, but to point out
rules.
Different rules. But I'm saying to point out if you set the run up, you can still do those type of things here. Do we have a TD on this team? No, but you have a three-headed monster and you can run the football.
I always said, and I think this is true, the best coaches take what everybody else is not doing, and that's how they scheme your team. I.e., everyone's trying to be fast in linebackers, fast on your defensive line right now, so that you can get to the quarterback and pass rushers and the whole 9 yards. You put a bruiser of an offensive line out there and a tailback who can run the ball against a team that's supposed to be fast, you can run all day over them, all day long. I think smart coaches do that, and I would like to see us do that. And I think I thought that's the path that we were taking as well, guys.
I would love to be a fly on the wall.
I would just want to add this real quick, though. That being said, in a game that's getting out of control like this, I would still want my quarterback to go out there and wing it and hope that we get a chance and get some plays and get back in it and look for those opportunities, especially from a quarterback. Let's not kid ourselves. He's a highly paid quarterback.
But if that's what you're going to do, why is your
no? I'm just saying.
Why is your fastest wide receiver not on the field then?
Okay, that's fine. I can say that too. But I'm just saying, in that situation, I am fine with what we did. I'm fine with us going out there and trying to throw the ball and trying to get back into the game. I wouldn't, playing football in my past, I wouldn't want to be on a team necessarily where we just kind of give up and say, we're just going to ground and pound. We're going to try to keep the ball out of their hands. We know that we're going to take the loss, but we're going to try to mitigate how many points it is. We're going to try to prove our identity. I just, it's tough to sell that on me. I would want to be out there trying to get back in this game. I don't blame them. I know it's not what you want, but you're already stuck in that position anyway.
What I'm saying is, if his mindset was we have got to throw the ball over to keep up with them, then why are you not putting your best wide receiver on the field? It's like you say your actions do one thing, but then your players and everything you set up for those actions are totally different. Yeah, that's where I'm confused. If you were going to be this pass first offense, fine. Then Albert O should have been your one or two tight end. He can't block. Who cares? You don't run the football.
Yeah, not going to disagree, bud. Like you said, right players should have been on the field if you're going to be trying to play that game. I'm not going to disagree with you there. A couple more, and then I want to move this just a little bit forward. We're already like 45 minutes through, guys, and the comments are blowing up.
That's why a rebuild is...
Okay, that's what I'm going to get to. I just want to get to a few comments, and then we can maybe hit that portion in the last 15 minutes. Cool, bud. Facebook user here, and this is Greg Smith, if I remember correctly. Yes, Greg Smith saying, I still can't get over Russ playing down by 50, but any chances Payton wants to start his hand-picked backup QB, but doesn't want to bench Russ. Yeah,
I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with what?
I think Russ was in the game in the end, basically to show, hey, I'm here to fight to the end, and I can't prove this, but I think he might have told Payton, I don't want to take it out.
Okay, that's fine. Play to the very bitter end.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I don't understand why he's still in there. And I still probably would have overruled it. There's nothing that you're going to gain from it necessarily. It didn't hurt us, so I guess that's good. Kenny just coming in and saying give Mims a little bit more time. Who else we got in here real quick? I just want to jump in here.
Kenny has a good question.
I'll hit that real quick. I'll get this comment. I don't know why Jarrett Stidham hasn't done anything. If Sean Payton benches Russ, I think it's clear he is indicating that this team is tanking. Yeah. Well, if we see it anywhere in the near future, in a 70-point loss, I'm not going to blame him. I'll get to Kenny's question then. He says, I have a serious question, and it's big. If things don't turn around, go 1-5 in the first 6 games, do you fire sale and go into tank mode, or do you try to win 6 or 7 with the team that you have now? A great transition point, guys, as we want to put this game in the past. I'm just on a preference, just a couple things for everyone listening at home. We're 0-3. Our next 2 games, we kind of talked about this to begin with, off before we got on the air. Some pretty easy ones. We go to Chicago versus the Bears. Bears and some, I forget where I saw it, was ranked 32nd, where we were ranked 31st in the league. So we're going up literally against the worst ranked team, though we're not that much better. Turn around and follow that up with an at-home game against the Jets. The Jets struggling to get anything done without Aaron Rodgers, with Zach Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett now running that offensive scheme and getting nothing done. So getting back to Kenny's question, and I'll throw it back up here, do you want to go 1-5 in the first 6 games, or do you try to win 6 or 7? Albert, since you wanted to get to this comment and question, I'll hit you first. What's your thoughts on this, bud?
I would try to win whatever I can win, because here's the thing: if you have a fire sale, what are you going to get for Sutton? What are you going to get for a Jerry Jeudy? Because they have not shown anything. The only 2 players that you might get something for are Gianfonte and Pat Surtain. Everything else, you're not going to get any money for it. So I rather pick it up and do the best I can. If you want to do something and you have 5 or 6 wins under your belt, then you can have some value in the players. But
So just so I know, we're 1-5, 6 games in. Trade deadline's right around the corner. Do you want to get rid of anybody?
At that time, it doesn't matter anymore. So whatever you can get, maybe.
And I think that's where he's saying a fire sale, because then you're not pushing for wins. If you're like, hey, I don't care what I get for Cortland Sutton, let someone take him and run, as an example.
But then you have to spend some money on people that you have to hire again, because you don't have
bring
enough.
Somebody up off the practice squad.
Yeah. No. They will play with 49 or 48.
Maybe. Jody, your side of this question, man. We're 1-5. The trade deadline's right around the corner. Teams might be thinking that they can make a run. What names are you letting go, or are you keeping them all? Are you fire sailing and going in the dumpster? What's your thoughts around all that?
I'm fire selling, and mainly, I looked it over the cap today. There's a bunch of guys that you can cut post June 1 next year, and have a little dead money and save a whole bunch of money. So if you can trade them now and get something for them, do it, because they're not producing. Randy Gregory, big contract, doing nothing. DJ Jones, big contract, doing nothing. Garrett Bowles, he's doing. You can upgrade that position. Who else did I see on there? Those Cortland Sutton, same one. If someone came to you right now and offered you a 7, goodbye, Sutton. And then Justin Simmons. I think Justin Simmons has value still. He's the same way. You can cut him next year and save money. I think a contender would come and offer you a 3 or something, and I would take that. The only guy that I'm on the fence with, unless a team maybe like the Cowboys, who just lost their starting cornerback and Diggs, is PS2. If someone comes and offers you the form like 2 1s or something. No one's trading for Russell's deal, so you're not getting rid of Russ. Javonte Williams, I don't see anyone wanting to come and get a running back coming off of that major knee injury till they see more. But knowing Peyton and seeing the guys that we've drafted this year and we don't play them, Riley Moss, healthy scratch. JL Skinner, 2 weeks in a row, healthy scratch. Marvin Mims, his snaps just went down 17, 16, 15. Jaleel McLaughlin, 3, 2. I didn't even see what he had last week. He didn't play any. Drew Sanders, 0 snaps week 1. So if you're going to embrace a rebuild and that type of thing, you have to play your young players. And he has shown he doesn't want any part of that. So, but
unlikely in your opinion, then?
Yeah, I can see maybe like 1 or 2 guys at the most, and Denver's going to take another shot like they did this offseason and spend big money on free agents. That's not Payton's nature to rebuild. He's never done it, and he's not showing that he wants to do it this year with the guys that he's drafted.
I would have to agree. I want to get to this real quick. David Slade's saying, funny thing is, before the season, it was all about how talented this team was, and now you say that you won't get much for the players. I would say that wasn't the case. I think that we talked quite a bit about how Cortland Sutton wasn't getting offers and we weren't getting value trades out there for Cortland Sutton. We thought that Jeudy would have the best value out there, when it was around that, draft time and all the speculation was out there. But I don't think any of us really thought that he was worth the first. And then you got to come into play that, hey, now we're 3 games in. Just as much as we've seen Russell improve, and quite honestly, Russell's contract will be more tradable if he continues to on this projection. Those 2 guys that are having issues, having trouble, are just going to continue that downward projection. Cortland Sutton right now hasn't proven to be any more valuable than he was before the season started, maybe even less. But it all depends upon where you're sitting once the team is actually put on the field. Hey, there was a lot of teams that said, or a lot of people that thought this was possibly a playoff winning team. A lot of people were excited and talking maybe even double-digit wins, and I'm not talking just me, you, and fans of the Denver Bronco Roundup. I'm talking large media, sports people out there speculating. So it all depends on what hits the field. None of us expected what we're seeing right now.
I'm just like with Sutton. I probably bought into the hype a little bit. He came in great shape. He did all this to transform his body. He studied Michael Thomas tapes, blah blah blah. But it's the same old thing again. We have seen nothing. I have yet to see a go down the field and I don't. This one sticks in my mind when he did that one-handed catch against the Chargers before his knee injury in the end zone for a touchdown. We have seen none of that from Sutton. Where is this? Why have we not seen this? We have seen he's not producing. Judy's been back 2 games now. He hadn't done anything, but yet they're playing. That's why I'm almost, when someone brings up a rebuild, it's not going to happen. So why think about it? I don't see it happening. You're going to get rid of some of these guys that you can get big money off the books for small dead cap hits, and he's going to, swing away again and hope it's not a strike. In my opinion.
Albert, I know that you talked about rebuild mode and Jody talked a little bit about rebuild mode. I'm going to give you my 2 cents. I think we absolutely go in that direction, and I could see it from Sean Payton, from the Penner Group, all the way down through. We're I hate to say it, but we're devoid of talent. We're devoid of high quality talent. And one name that we haven't mentioned this evening as we went through some of the players that aren't performing, coaches that we would like to see different. We didn't even get into VJ firing and or the lack thereof, which is a topic that maybe we can get into really in a couple of seconds here. But for me, George Payton, guys. George Payton is a name that needs to be brought up because George Payton is the guy who put the talent together on this team. And if, quite honestly, if you look at the talent compared to the contract, compared to the expectation on the field, there aren't a whole lot of George Payton free agents that you can point at. You can't point to a whole lot of draft picks of George Payton that are just knock it out of the park at this point. And quite honestly, in the investment and injured talent that we've brought in over the years has just been outstanding. So George Payton is gone, in my opinion. That's going to be part of this rebuild. If we're able to move pieces at the deadline, I think we do so. This team could look really good, in my opinion, in 2025, but it's going to take a lot of moving parts and a lot of moving pieces in order to get there. And I don't know if that's a Russell Wilson-led team at that point. I just think that's the timeline that you could actually put out there and start looking at future picks and, take those guys that you guys are talking about, the J.L. Skinners, the Riley Mosses, the Drew Sanders, and they're going to have to get playing time at that point. So, last thing that we should talk about, Albert, I'll start off with you. It was somewhat mind-blowing to Broncos country in general. You lose 20-70. There's not a whole lot of defensive coordinators that survive a 70-point loss. Somehow, former head coach, now defensive coordinator, Vance Joseph, survives it. Was that the right call? And how long does he survive, especially if there's wins possible against Chicago and the Jets coming up too?
If I would be head coach, I wouldn't have given VJ the money for a taxi to the plane. I would have left him there and then. He should not be on the team, in my opinion. But at least they probably had a good practice. But and I think maybe that is the only thing that is holding him up, because they had a good practice. Everything else, it is just ridiculous. He is supposed to be really good with the cornerbacks, and who are failing the most? The cornerbacks. He used to be a cornerbacks coach, if I'm not mistaken. And
before he started, yeah, I believe you're right.
And how many errors have we seen from Surtain? Too many. And he's the number one cornerback in the league. So where do you think his value will go after this season? If he keeps playing like this, if he's been coached like this, it's not a good thing. I think we need a little revamp on the defensive coach there, definitely. Yeah. And I hopefully that will happen on next Monday, if not sooner.
So a loss and a versus Chicago and a Vance Joseph firing in one fell swoop. Is that what you're?
I don't think it even has to be a loss. If the defense is just playing outright bad like the last 3 games, I think that should be the last nail on this coffin. Even with a win.
There you go, buddy. Jody, Vance Joseph stays. Not what a lot of Broncos country expected. I don't know what you expected, and what do you expect going forward as far as Vance Joseph as our defensive coordinator? Does he make the season?
Right after the game, I was fired Joseph, but after thinking about it, you're 3 weeks in. Who are you replacing him with? If you go down the list of defensive coaches on this roster, they don't really have anyone. People can say, well, bring in Rex. Well, that sounds great, but Rex and VJ run night and day different type defenses.
Yeah.
So you're not going to implement in the middle of a season a new defense like that. If it were me, I probably would have done what they did, but you have a couple more bad performances against bad teams like that, then this was a good one I heard. Then I probably picked the phone up and call somebody like a Wade Phillips to come in as a consultant, or somebody like they had last year as a Don Capers. Somebody that can come in here, and because for all the years VJ's been a defensive coordinator, when was he an elite defensive coordinator? And he had talent. You know, he had talent in Miami, he had talent in Cincinnati, he had talent in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And his defenses have never been
Ranked
elite.
well.
So, but if you step back and you look at the big picture, it's pretty obvious to me why he didn't hire Rex Ryan, because his personality and Sean Payton's personality would have clashed, and you know, he probably wouldn't have taken it if this was happening and Rex is the coach. He's up in VJ's face. He's probably not getting up in Rex's face like that, and Rex just taking it. So he needed somebody that he could
dictate to,
and VJ was the perfect guy.
Yeah. It's rough. I agree. You can't move on this early just from a personnel standpoint. Who's going to replace? That becomes very difficult. I mean,
you're still going to run the same scheme. You have to.
Yeah, correct. Whether it be Christian Parker that you're trying to elevate up that's already on this team, or, you know, I even heard anything from, you know, obviously the Rex Ryans out there, but Wade Phillips is out there, you know, stuff like this. It's not easy to do. And I talked about it before. I don't think that Sean Payton's ego is willing to admit defeat 3 weeks in, when
Agreed.
Honestly, I think he was trying to look like the smartest guy in the room by bringing VJ in, a former head coach that had left the Denver Broncos. If that works out, he looks like an absolute genius, a guru. Right now, he doesn't look too smart, and saying that it was a failure after week 3 is not something that I think he's willing to do. It'll be interesting if this decision comes, where it comes from. Because we alluded to, or even Albert alluded to, regardless of a win, let's say it's a blowout by Chicago just runs all over Denver next week. Not that I'm saying that's a possibility, but that being said, if that's the case, if Sean's not willing to fire, this is coming from someplace else, and that's my question. Albert, I know I saw you raising your finger. Why don't you get a couple thoughts in? We're going to end up wrapping up here pretty soon, guys, so if you have any last questions, please get them in the comments. I did see one, Kenny Callaway is no longer with the team, so that's, if you're looking for Callaway, that's why you're not seeing him at this point. So Albert?
About firing VJ, if it is another disaster again, even if it is just a low-scoring game and when the Broncos win, but if it is a disaster on defense, probably the Panthers will jump in and make the decision because the only person that Peyton has to show accountability to is towards the Panthers. And if he doesn't take it, then they will take it. Here's the thing. If they fire him, how much worse can it get? It cannot get worse.
I agree. Except for
I think it can get worse because you can get stuff like you had in the Carolina game last year when you had Mike Purcell up in Russ's face, and you had that type of, and you had
but that had to do because
Brett
the offense
Rippin, that type of thing. I think that's where it can get worse. You can have, maybe not play wise, but you can have the off the field type or on the sideline type things that just implode it to the point that that's where I think it can get really bad.
But defensive, the system wise, it cannot get any worse. Even if the two assistant coaches pick up, it's still the same system, but maybe a new figurehead on it might see something different and might do something different. VJ is stuck in what he's doing.
Hey, we might be very well finding this out. The way the Broncos season is going, guys, you know, when I got on the post game, we talked about being on the couch and, you know, kicking up your feet, and we'll do a little therapy here. We all need a little bit of therapy with a loss like this, with starting out the season like this. It's not where we expected to be, but we could also be in line for a little bit more heartache in the future. Just as an example, and I'll see if I can bring this up for just really quick, but David Slade alluded to it earlier in the comments, just the coming schedule after the Broncos and the Jets. We play the Chiefs, the Packers, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Vikings, the Browns, the Texans, the Chargers, the Lions, the Patriots, the Chargers, and the Raiders. But if you look at those ones right after, again, after we get done playing the Jets and the Bears, Chiefs, Packers, Chiefs, Bills, that's not a easy run to go on. Even if we do come out of these next two games with a couple of wins. Along those lines, way too early predictions. I know that we're favored by 3.5. Jody, any thoughts about this game versus Chicago?
Well, so this needs to be a get-right game for both sides of the ball, and just use it as that. And the way the AFC is right now, the Raiders are 1-2, San Diego or the LA 1-2. It's not like you're completely out of it yet. You have, in my opinion, you have talent on this team, but you've got to utilize them right and put them in the right positions. And yeah, use this as a get-right game. We'll see who has heart on this team and who doesn't. And I think this is also a game we'll see if Payton wants to kind of embrace maybe not a full rebuild, but I'm going to play some of these younger guys who have, like Marvin Mims, he should be your number one. He has been your best wide receiver all year. Play him. He needs Cortland-like snaps, and Cortland can have the 15, 16 snaps. And for me, I don't really care if it's at this point a win or loss. I just want to see competent football, and I want to see who gets motivated from a loss like that, and who comes back and says, this stops now, and some stuff turns around.
Very good, bud. I like the idea. Opportunities maybe to get some other guys in there, opportunities to get right over the next couple of games, opportunities to get right in Chicago. Just a couple of comments coming in. Ed Siciliano coming in and saying, wait till the end of the season to make major moves. Yeah, I think for the most part, I think that would be a good idea unless the asking price is right. But I don't know if you got to just try to figure out what the value is going to be. Is it going to be better early, or is it going to be better later? Sometimes the better value might be held just a little bit earlier.
On coaches, I think he waits because he needs a fall guy. If this goes bad this season and the defense continues the way it is, he can use VJ as a fall guy. Sure. It was the defense. Our offense, look at what it did the year before. Look what I improved. If you go back and you watch and you do, and I've listened to a bunch of different things, Sean Payton has never admitted Sean Payton was at fault. Sean Payton, you brought these guys in. You picked VJ over Rex. You picked VJ over whoever. You waited till the very last and brought in your buddy who has been garbage as an OC and Joe Lombardi. You've been loyal to these guys until he's not loyal when he needs a fall guy, and he will not take, he will not take the blame. It'll be VJ's fault. It'll be Joe Lombardi's fault, the offense, or whatever. It won't be Sean Payton's fault.
Interesting take. Appreciate it, man. I'm going to get back to the comments real quick and then get back over to Albert. Threw this up on the screen a little bit earlier. Michael Ronquillo saying Christian Parker has a bright future as a defensive coordinator in the NFL, and I'll vouch for him. Kenny's coming in here saying playing a little reverse psychology on this one. 31-28 Bears. Good luck, guys, and get that first win. Love it very much. Need a win, buddy, and appreciate the support as always. Trying to get in all of these comments, so sorry. This one's from Trevor. Bring in Wade Phillips as a consultant, making Christian Parker the interim DC. What is there to lose? Kind of like that idea, I'll be honest.
I like the idea if you can get something like you got from when they brought in, and I can't think of his name, the interim last year. The very last, the offense played competent football.
Johnny Rosberg.
Jerry
Yeah,
Rosberg.
Jerry
Jerry
Rosberg. When he come in the last, whatever that was, 2 games, and you played competent football the last couple of games, do you get that if you make this change?
Possibly. Albert, why don't we get over to you and get your thoughts then? I'll dump the comments for the moment and give me your thoughts on Chicago.
So, to say the least, if Fiji is getting the blame game, the scapegoat or whatever you want to call it, guess what? It comes straightly back to Sean Payton because he hired him. So it always reflects on Sean Payton if he wants to admit fault or not. It always comes back. Yeah, and like I said, put an interim in, head defensive coach. Right. The only thing the worst thing can happen is defense loses more points. I think we already there where we at the bottom where we need to be, or not need to be, unless we want to be 32. So I think the coming game is a trap game. Either one wants to be on the bottom, so I don't know who's gonna be the worst.
Undecided at this point. Leave it for the pregame show, Albert. I appreciate it very much, man. I appreciate guys like Greg Smith as well saying great broadcasts, Denver Broncos for life. And I appreciate everybody that's come in here tonight. I think we're going to have to wrap up the show. Just my thoughts on Chicago, guys. I do think we have a possibility of winning this game. I would like to see, at some point, like I said, team gets on your back. I think Russell Wilson has that capability, and it's the time to do it. It's against a team that's struggling. I'll leave my overall prediction for our pregame show that you'll be able to catch. Me and Albert are always doing that on Saturday nights, so check us out then. But that being said, I'm going to predict a win, and I think that my prediction is we're going to see that third quarter look different in this game. We're going to see, if nothing else, we're going to see us come out in the second half and be able to move the ball and do things well. So,
do we commit to the run?
I think you'll see a larger commitment to the run. I don't want to say that it's the commitment that we've all been waiting for. I don't want to say that, I mean, heck, I would love to see a game like the Miami Dolphins put up on us with 350 yards on the ground. That would be fantastic. That's the type of game that, honestly, if we were doing what we're supposed to do, what we thought we were everything was planned out, lined out to do, there was certainly a possibility that we could have a 350-yard rushing game this season if we had taken that commitment from the very beginning. But I do think we see a better commitment to the run game. I do think we end up getting a win. Chicago is struggling. I'm not going to put a whole lot of faith in that, but that being said, I'm going to give it that. Any final comments before I jump into it, guys? I'll start with Albert, go to Jody, and then we'll go out of here as well. And last, Wade Phillips is a head coach in the XFL for the Houston Roughnecks, according to Michael Ronquillo. Hopefully, we could pry him away from the XFL. Go ahead, though, Albert.
Yeah,
final thoughts for our fans.
Yeah, first I want to give a shout out to all the people who have commented.
Thank you.
Michelle, my better half, Jeremy, Michael, Graham, Patrick, Trevor, Roy, Greg, and then we even had the Seahawks fans here. Kurt, Kenny, Leanna, Sis, David, and David.
Oh, yep. We'll hit that a little bit on the way out too as well.
And guys, relax. We are still in the early season of the beginning of the season. Anything can happen. Miracles have happened.
Russell Wilson says it's a 14-game season now, guys. We just happen to be starting on the outside lane of this race. Yep. Anything is possible. Jody, final thoughts before we get out of here?
My biggest thing is I just want to see who responds to that kind of game last week and what they do this week. Do you how do they respond? That's my biggest thing. And what does Peyton and VJ do? I don't really care at the end of this game if it's 42-0 Denver and people are saying, well, you only played the Bears and you've done nothing. You got to start somewhere, and that's you got to make progress, show progress. I don't care if it's against the worst team. Mm-hmm. You play what's in front of you, and That's what I want to see. Some adjustments, commit to the run, and we'll see who has heart.
Yeah, kind of along the same lines that I was kind of talking, buddy. Put a team on your back, show a little heart. You're right. 0-3. Just off a big loss. I mean, if you haven't seen Garrett Bowles' post-game press conference, come back from that mindset. Come back into Chicago. Play hard. Play your butt off. That's tough to do when you've been beaten around for 7 years and all you feel like you've done is lose. But that's what needs to happen if you're going to complete a 17-game season and have that turnaround. It's a great point, Jody. Look for those guys that are out there playing with heart. That's what we need to have if we're going to really, if there's a possibility of that turnaround or even just being respectable and giving your all and putting the tape out there for, if it's not for this team, for the other 31 teams in the league. Go out there, play with heart, Broncos. So that being said, I want to thank everybody. As Albert listed off a lot of the names that we already came in here and commented, we had a ton of other viewers on top of it. Even we had one comment I didn't throw up there because I thought it was a little self-serving, saying that this podcast is on fire, so I appreciate that. But thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to another great episode of the Denver Bronco Roundup. As always, we're presented to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Looking for fantastic Colorado sports coverage like Trevor, who was on my post game the other night. He's going to be hitting up some Nuggets and some Rockies just right around the corner, so check all that out as well. But whether it's Nuggets, Rockies, Avalanche, or Broncos, Rocky Mountain Sports Network is where it's at. All you have to do is head on over to the Rocky Mountain Sports Network website. That's RockyMountainSN.com. That's RockyMountainSN.com. I threw links up at the very beginning. You can jump over there and go right to the Broncos page as well. But guys, fantastic coverage all the way across the board. Check out Rocky Mountain Sports Network or Rocky Mountain Sports Network on the Facebook as well. So
you mentioned the Rockies. They're about to make history. 100 losses for the first time ever.
Woohoo! All right. I'm sure that, hey, great article will probably be coming on that one as well then. It's something that you could certainly write about. Also, guys, fantastic sponsor, Willow Seasonings and Blends. Albert's been plugging them with the shaker of fantastic rub right there. One of our favorites. One of his favorites, I should say. What do you got there?
This is Memphis style barbecue.
Oh, the Memphis. That's my wife's favorite as well, by the way. Anyway, guys, or not anyway, but also, guys, we have an incredible sponsor, like I said, in Willow Seasonings and Blends. Barbecue season isn't over yet. It's just getting fired up. Head on over to willowseasonings.com. That's willowseasonings.com. Put a little spice in your life. This is an award-winning company in sauces and spices, guys. So I'm not leading you astray. I'm leading you to the very best. Blue Ribbon. They're Broncos fans. They're Colorado-based. They're a veteran-owned company. There's so many reasons to buy from Willow Seasonings and Blends, but the number one reason, they'll spice up your life with fantastic seasonings and sauces. Use promo code DBR2023. That saves you 15% off on checkout. That's DBR2023 and helps out a Rocky Mountain Sports Network family in need, as Dave Slade, fantastic owner over at Willow Seasonings, is donating $1 every time that's used to a family in need over on Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Guys, appreciate you guys so much. I'm just going to do one last check to make sure that there's nothing else I missed. Kenny's coming in here and saying, good night, fellas. Kenny's also saying you guys are rocking up overtime tonight. I absolutely love it. Racking up the overtime, I imagine. Michael Ronquillo, Colorado Avalanche played two preseason hockey games. So look at that. Already right around the corner. This, I imagine, is Trevor. Yeah, this is Trevor coming in saying might be looking forward to Nuggets season sooner than we thought. Laugh out loud. And barbecue in the snow. Best and Willow Seasoning makes it on fire. Love that comment as well. And that's Miss Michelle. Appreciate you jumping in here. No matter what, go Broncos. Thank you, Michael. And great show, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate you as well, Trevor. Guys, remember, keep your feet in the stirrups. Keep your guns in your holsters. Keep the Broncos in your heart. And until next week, guys, we'll see you soon. Denver Bronco Roundup, 7 o'clock p.m.